This next question comes from my good friend, Justin Popovich. And Justin asks, while I know you're not a professional copywriter, you write damn good sales letters. There are many newbies that can't afford to hire a copywriter. Can you break down the system you use to write persuasive copy? I remember one of your coaching offers had one of the best email broadcasts I've seen in recent memory. Well, thanks. I've never taken a copywriting course. I've read a little bit of information about copywriting. To be honest, it's definitely not a strong point for me, but I am getting better at it, and I would be happy to share my system with you. Just send a check for $997. No, I'm just kidding. What I'd like to do is just tell you kind of how I do it from a really high level, and you know, there's definitely no system or template or thing that I could walk you through, because if you looked at my sales letters, they'd all be different. But whether you're writing an email or you're writing a sales letter, there's the first point of entry, which is either your headline or your subject. So if it's an email, it's your subject. If it's a sales letter, it's your headline. And 9 times out of 10, they can pretty much be the same thing. And what I'd like to do with that headline or that subject in my email is I'd like to ask a question that can't go unanswered. So a question might be, you know, are you happy with your current situation? Or, you know, did 2010 work out the way you planned? Or, you know, these are questions that when you see the answer to them, you can't help but when you see that question, you can't help but want to see what the answer is or what more that person has to say. So a good headline is a question unanswered, or is a bold statement made that you can back up with some proof in a subheadline or in a letter. So I always start with that headline. And then I immediately go into a Dear John kind of a letter where I say, you know, dear friend, or if you're a subscriber on my list, it'll insert your first name, you know, say dear first name, you know, dear Justin. And then I'll talk to you a little bit, and I'll usually talk to you from a very personal stand. I'll tell you a story, or I'll reference something that's happened to me recently, and that's how a lot of my emails get sent, actually, or a lot of my sales letters get written, or they're based on events that have happened to me recently, and so I kind of weave that into the sales letter. So I always kind of start off with an introduction and a story, and then I tell you a little bit about the product that I've created and why. And then sometimes I'll illustrate at the top of the sales letter what I think the value is. You know, if I think the value is $1,000, or if I think it's $2,000, or if I think it's $500, whatever the value is that I think that that item is, I'll kind of mention it somewhere that other people have paid this much money elsewhere for these types of products, or whatever it is. I'll kind of mention some value somewhere. And then I'll take them down the letter, and I'll do a lot of FAQ style sales copy where I'll ask a lot of questions that I know you want to ask me. And one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make when they're writing copy is that they don't ask the obvious questions of themselves. You know your users are probably wondering some of these things. Put them out there. Even if they're negatives, address these big questions that you know are burning in people's mind. So I do this kind of FAQ style sales copy. And then when I get to the bottom, I deliver them with you know, a call to action and a price. And that price is always, of course, much lower than the value price that I illustrate at the top of the sales letter. And what I found works there, and I'm not a big sales psychology guy, but what I found works really well is that mentioning that value at the top of your sales letter, you're kind of planting a seed, and somebody in their mind says, okay, he's mentioned $1,000. Is that what he's going to sell it to me for? What's he going to? And in their mind, as they're reading your sales letter and adding up all the things that you're giving them, your FAQ and the deliverables that you're offering and all that kind of stuff, in their mind, they're asking themselves what they're willing to pay for this. And if the number that you deliver at the absolute bottom call to action on your sales letter is in line or below the number that they had in their heads, you've probably got a sale. So, I mean, that's, you know, in a nutshell how I write a sales letter. I wish I could tell you I had a better system for it, but that's kind of the formula that I follow. I hope that helps you with your copywriting.